Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to this discussion of documenting sources in MLA format. MLA format is a little crazy sometimes, and there are a lot of hoops we have to jump through in order to execute this style correctly. And so this worksheet is an opportunity for us to kind of get our sea legs to try out MLA format in a lower stakes environment than our essay. So I'm going to provide you with this video walkthrough of the worksheet because it gives me a chance to give you a lot more detail and explanation than just a few comments in the gradebook. So this video is designed to help you really fully understand the reasons why this formatting happens. I will of course be filling out a rubric for your grades and making comments in the gradebook, but this is just in addition to that to really help you hone your MLA format skills so that when you turn in your first essay, you don't lose points in this category. Because we know MLA format is important, we don't want to plagiarize, because if we plagiarize, we get a 0 on the assignment. And if it's blatant plagiarism, then it gets reported to the dean of students, and there could be disciplinary measures and all kinds of drama and bad stuff. So we just don't want to deal with that. We want you to write your excellent work and properly attribute your sources, and MLA format is one way that we can do that. So this worksheet is divided into a couple different sections. The first section is recognizing plagiarism. So in this section, we have an original excerpt from the article, we have an example of student work, and then your task was to explain why that work was incorrect, and then to show me a corrected version of that work. So in student work 1, the student gave a direct quote without putting quotation marks around it and without properly crediting the author. So this would be plagiarism and would cause a 0 to happen. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure we're using quotation marks and properly giving authors credit. So in our corrected sentence, we would put quotation marks around the quoted material and make sure to include that paragraph number and the introduction stem where we tell where the source came from. In excerpt 2, the error was a mistranslation of the quotation. The original quote said that justice, as logically, legally, and ethically defined, isn't really about getting even. And then the student work says that Seltzer claims justice is about balancing the scales and getting even. So this student misinterpreted the meaning of the original quote. So we would need to correct that by making the summary more accurate and still giving credit to the author here and with our paragraph notation down at the end. In excerpt 3, the error is that the paragraph notation is misplaced. We want this to come at the end of the summarized material. And this is important because this little notation here lets us know where someone else's ideas end and our original work begins. Otherwise, that line gets real fuzzy and we're not sure who came up with these ideas. And if you're coming up with brilliant ideas in your essay, you want to make sure that you're getting credit for those, right? So make sure to always put the paragraph or page number at the end of the summarized material. So this would come at the end of the second sentence here. The next section dealt with direct quotations. In this first exercise, you were asked to create a direct quotation with a lead-in stem, so giving the author's name, a little bit of context, and then a quote that's properly cited in APA format. I have an example of that for you here. Where most students get confused is this second one, where you're asked to just give a fragment of a quote. And so we still do our lead-in, we talk about Dr. Leon Seltzer, and then we give mostly our ideas and then support our ideas with just a little bit of quote. So the rule of thumb for this type of quotation use is that about 75% of the sentence should be your own words and 25% should be of that outside source. You do, of course, need to put those even short quotes in quotation marks, and you need to put it with its paragraph or page number notation at the end of the quoted material. You were then asked to paraphrase. Paraphrase and summary are very similar in that they are putting somebody else's ideas into your own words. So showing your own understanding of the original text by reiterating it using your own style of writing. This is fine as long as we're properly attributing the sources. Where paraphrase and summary are different is that paraphrase is about the same length as the original. So if the original is 3 sentences long, your paraphrase should be about 3 sentences long. Summary is going to be much shorter than the original. So if your original is 4 sentences long, your summary should be 1 sentence long, something like that. So much, much shorter. Think of the summary as like a trailer for a movie. The movie is 2 hours long, the trailer is 2 minutes long, but it gives a picture of what the movie is going to be about. So summary is much shorter, and paraphrase is about the same length as the original. So in this example, we've got an excerpt from the text. Moreover, as discrete as I've tried to make each of these 5 categories below, a certain amount of resemblance and repetition has been unavoidable. That is, my dividing lines may at times seem a bit arbitrary. So we're taking that idea and putting it into our own words. We're still going to acknowledge that Seltzer is the one who came up with these ideas, and we're still going to put the page or paragraph number at the end of our paraphrased material. So we might say Seltzer acknowledges all his points can seem repetitive and have similar definitions. He also states there's a fine line between the contradictory argument and, if the information is taken incorrectly, the wrong conclusion could be reached that justice and revenge are interchangeable. Paraphrased, boiled down, still acknowledging the author, and still giving that page or paragraph number notation. Then in the summary, which is much smaller than the original, you will notice those size differences here. Revenge typically begets more revenge, whether it's an individual or an entire nation. It takes place within a closed system that seems able to feed on itself indefinitely. Unlike tic-tac-toe, tit-for-tat is a game without end. One side gets satisfaction, then the other is driven to get its satisfaction, and then theoretically ad infinitum. So we can boil that down into saying revenge is an act of retaliation between two groups. It is a personal system used for an indefinite cycle of violence and retribution. All those ideas boil down into something much smaller, but we're still giving credit to Seltzer and noting what paragraph this came from. And that's MLA format, use in a nutshell, using quotes, using paraphrase, and using summary. So hopefully this is helpful for you as you go into writing your essay. I just want to make sure that we're checking all those boxes so you don't lose points in this category on the rubric. As always, reach out if you have any questions. I look forward to seeing how your MLA format skills continue to improve throughout the quarter.